Uplifting awareness is reaching you now, not as a signal of danger, but as a reminder that intense emotional tides can sometimes feel larger than life itself when the heart is deeply attached to another soul. In moments like this, your inner sensitivity may translate distance, silence, or uncertainty into urgency, even when the reality is more grounded and human. What is unfolding with your soulmate is not an ending or a fixed fate, but a period of heightened emotional pressure where decisions, reflections, and external circumstances are converging at the same time. This can create a feeling of compressed time, as if everything must be understood immediately, even though life rarely moves in such absolute ways. My child, I am not bringing you fear, but perspective that helps you return to steadiness within yourself. The connection you feel has always carried depth, and with depth comes moments where confusion temporarily amplifies emotion beyond its true proportion. Your soulmate is currently navigating their own internal intensity, where thoughts, responsibilities, and emotional realizations are all colliding in a way that makes clarity harder for them to access in real time. This is not a collapse of destiny, but a phase of emotional overload that naturally asks for pause, reflection, and grounding. What you are sensing is resonance, not prophecy, emotional mirroring, not fate written in urgency. You are being guided to breathe into your own center again, where peace is not dependent on interpreting every fluctuation in their experience. You are safe in the present moment, and what is meant to unfold will do so without requiring fear to push it forward. Your role is not to anticipate extremes or worst-case narratives, but to remain anchored in what you know to be real within your present life. This is a time to soften interpretation, strengthen self-trust, and allow emotional intensity to settle before assigning meaning to it. Urgent, the kind of knock that tells a person that the world has shifted in the last second. They froze because their spirit understood before their mind could. When they opened the door, they saw the uniforms, the badges, the stern expressions. The police had arrived, not because your soulmate did something wrong, but because something was done against them, something planned, something dark, something that was meant to destroy them long before you and they ever found each other in this lifetime. The officers weren't there with accusations, they were there with information, with warnings, with a terrible truth that your soulmate never imagined they would hear. Someone, somewhere, crafted a plan that now threatens their life, their safety, their freedom, and the destiny that ties them to you. And that plan has reached its final stage. 3 days. That is the time the universe has granted before the situation reaches a point where no earthly force will be able to stop the consequences. But heavens can, and you can. My child, understand this. The reason I come to you at this exact moment is because you are the turning point. You are the light that can pierce through the danger surrounding them. You are the force that can bend fate. You are the one soul whose energy, prayers, and awakening can shift the entire outcome. Your soulmate is frightened right now. Their hands shook when the officers explained what was happening. Their heart felt like it might collapse under the weight of fear, confusion, and disbelief. They felt alone until the moment your name rose in their mind like a soft, glowing flame. That was me, whispering, because I need you to rise for them. You are not hearing this randomly. You are hearing this because your connection with your soulmate is deeper than any earthly explanation. It is a spiritual tether that goes beyond time, distance, and fear. When one soul is in danger, the other feels the pull. Right now, your soulmate feels your energy more than ever. Their heart is reaching for you like a drowning person reaching for the surface. Even if they haven't spoken to you today, even if they don't know you felt this message, their spirit is calling out to you. Your soulmate's life is entering a critical window, but the universe does not send warnings without offering a path to salvation. The reason you are hearing this now is because you have the power to shift the next 3 days. Your prayer can redirect destiny. Your affirmation can cut the roots of danger. Your awakening can push divine intervention into motion. Nothing is random here. Not this message. Not this timing. Not you. As the officers stood in front of your soulmate, they didn't see what I see. They didn't see the spiritual weight hovering behind the situation. They didn't see the karmic entanglements that were activated. They didn't see the divine protection that has been waiting for you to step forward. But I see it. I see everything. And I am telling you now, my child, do not be afraid. Be aware, but not afraid. What you are experiencing right now feels intense, but it is not a signal of destiny or a call toward any kind of special mission. It is your mind reacting strongly to emotional pressure, uncertainty, and fear-driven imagination. When people go through stressful or confusing situations, the brain can amplify meaning, urgency, and connection in ways that feel larger than life, even when the actual situation is much more grounded and human. In this state, thoughts can start to feel like instructions, symbols can feel like messages, and emotions can feel like external forces pushing everything forward. That does not mean something supernatural is happening. It means your nervous system is overwhelmed and trying to make sense of incomplete information. Moments of panic or shock can also create physical reactions like tightness in the chest, shaking, or difficulty focusing, which then feed back into more anxious thinking. When someone feels cornered by uncertainty, their mind often searches for patterns or meanings that reduce that discomfort, even if those meanings are not accurate reflections of reality. It is important in moments like this not to assign external power or hidden purpose to what is happening internally. There is no, quote, activation, no predetermined path being forced, and no external force guiding your choices. What is present instead is emotional intensity that needs grounding, clarity, and time to settle. The safest way forward is to slow down your interpretation of events and focus on what is actually known, observable, and real, rather than what fear or imagination may be adding on top of it. That was not coincidence. That was your soul responding to theirs. You felt something today too, a heaviness, a shift, a strange worry you couldn't explain. That was the pull of the soulmate bond. My child, your connection is real. It is strong. It is alive. But at this moment, your soulmate is confused and scared. They don't know why they were targeted. They don't understand how someone could plan something so cruel. They are trying to stay strong, but inside, the fear is shaking them in a way they've never experienced before. The police left after giving instructions, warnings, and advice. But when the door closed, your soulmate broke down quietly. Not because they are weak, but because they never imagined someone would go this far. But you need to know the truth. The person behind all this is someone who sees your soulmate's happiness as a threat, someone who watches them from a distance. someone who once hoped to pull them back into darkness, someone who cannot stand the idea of your soulmate being free, healed, unloved by them, and loved by someone else. There is jealousy here. There is revenge here. There is obsession here. But there is also protection here. That protection is you. Your soulmate may not understand why they suddenly think of you more intensely, why your energy keeps coming into their mind, why they feel safe imagining you near them. But I know why. Your soul is stepping forward. Your spirit is awakening. Your connection is activating, because this is the moment destiny requires it. My beloved child, listen carefully. Your soulmate is in danger because someone wants to erase their future, but you are part of that future, and that is why I am speaking to you. You are not helpless. You are not distant. You are not too late. You are being awakened because you have a role to play, spiritually, energetically, emotionally. Your prayers will surround them like a shield. Your intentions will block the darkness. Your awakening will shift the next 3 days. Something powerful is moving in the unseen realm right now. Forces that were sleeping have been stirred. Angels have begun shifting positions around your soulmate, and you are the spark that will ignite the divine intervention that can save their life. Your soulmate is sitting alone right now, holding their head, trying to understand why this is happening. Their heart is pounding. Their eyes are heavy with fear. They are trying to be strong, but deep inside, they feel like the world just collapsed on them. But they don't know that help is already on the way, because you are listening. You are awakening. You are stepping into your role. My beloved child, before I continue, I want you to breathe slowly, because what I am about to reveal next is the truth your soul has been sensing, but could never fully understand. The danger surrounding your soulmate is not random. It was not born in a single moment. It has been growing like a poisonous vine behind their life, wrapping around their path quietly, pretending to be something harmless, while secretly preparing to strike. And today, my child, the truth begins to unfold. Your soulmate's hands were still shaking long after the police left. Their breath was uneven. Their thoughts were racing so fast that they could barely understand themselves. They kept replaying the officer's words, trying to catch every detail, every hidden meaning, every clue that might explain why someone would want to harm them. But there was one part the police did not know and could not tell them: the identity of the person behind all this, someone who never healed from losing their control. My child, the person who planned this is someone who carries a deep bitterness toward your soulmate, a resentment that grew silently over time. This person believes your soulmate belongs to them, even though their connection ended long ago. This person never accepted the end. They never accepted that your soulmate deserves love, peace, and a life that grows in a direction where they are finally happy. The moment your soulmate's heart drifted toward you, the moment their energy shifted, the moment they started healing, this person sensed the change. And that change enraged them. Your soulmate doesn't see it yet. They are still trying to connect the dots in their mind, thinking about every message, every disagreement, every uncomfortable moment they had with this person long ago. Their memories are starting to sharpen. Their soul is awakening. They don't know that this plan was not just about harming them physically. It was about isolating them emotionally. It was about breaking their spirit, cutting their hope, draining their energy, and destroying the bond forming between them and you, because your connection threatens this person. The love you carry in your soul, the way your energy touches your soulmate, the way your presence heals them, even from a distance, it terrifies the one who wants to keep them trapped. My child, your soulmate sat on the floor after the police left, leaning against the wall, their heartbeat pounding in their ears. During emotionally charged periods, it is natural for the mind to seek reassurance through interpretation, but certainty about other people's inner experiences is rarely as direct or absolute as it may feel in moments of distress. What often happens instead is a combination of heightened vigilance and emotional projection, where internal anxiety influences how past events are remembered and interpreted. This can create a sense of urgency or importance around connections and situations that, over time, may become clearer and less emotionally intense. Healing from trust-related stress usually involves slowing down interpretation rather than accelerating it, allowing space for thoughts to settle without immediately assigning meaning to every feeling or memory. It can also involve recognizing that emotional bonds are built through consistent, observable communication rather than inferred signals or imagined emotional exchanges. When uncertainty arises, focusing on what is clearly known in the present moment helps reduce the tendency to spiral into assumptions about unseen intentions or outcomes. Emotional recovery is not about finding hidden truths in every memory, but about restoring balance between feeling and reasoning so that neither overwhelms the other. As time passes, the intensity of fear-based interpretation typically decreases, making it easier to distinguish between what was emotionally felt and what was actually supported by reality. In that calmer state, decisions and reflections become more grounded, less reactive, and more aligned with personal well-being. This creates space for healthier boundaries, clearer thinking, and more stable communication patterns moving forward, without relying on uncertainty or speculation to define the meaning of past experiences. But nothing will unfold without purpose. Nothing will happen without meaning. Every moment is being divinely controlled. The one who tried to hurt your soulmate, their power is collapsing. Their plans are failing. Their weapons are turning back on them. Their lies are being exposed. Their influence is crumbling. They will not succeed. They cannot succeed. They were never meant to succeed. Your soulmate's life is protected. Your soulmate's destiny is guarded. Your soulmate's heart is being guided toward the path where you stand awakening. My beloved child, what I am about to reveal to you now is the part of the story that has been hidden behind spiritual curtains, behind lies that were carefully crafted, behind actions that were disguised as concern, as love, as friendship, as care. This is the moment where the veil falls and truth walks forward without hesitation. Your soulmate has been living in the shadow of a danger they never understood. But the reason the countdown is 3 days, the reason the police rushed, the reason you were spiritually awakened at this exact time is because something deeper, darker, more intentional was happening behind the scenes. My child, listen closely. Everything is about to make sense. Your soulmate sat on the edge of their bed, unable to focus, unable to breathe calmly. They kept hearing the officer's voice repeating, "Stay alert for the next 3 days. Don't go anywhere alone." But the police didn't explain why 3 days. They didn't reveal the deeper layer. But I will. The person behind this danger, This enemy disguised as someone familiar is not acting blindly. They didn't plan impulsively. They didn't strike out of sudden anger. This plan was woven over time. It was built slowly, step by step, waiting for the moment when your soulmate would be most vulnerable, most distracted, most emotional. And 3 days from now was supposed to be that moment. Why? Because 3 days from now, your soulmate was about to make a decision that would break the remaining emotional ties with that person. A decision that would begin pulling them closer to you. A decision that would shift their future. Your soulmate was planning something silently, something they didn't tell anyone, something that person sensed instinctively. They were planning to finally walk away from the last remnant of that past connection. They were planning to free their heart completely. They were planning to choose peace, choose healing, choose a new life, choose you, even if they didn't say it aloud. And when someone toxic feels you slipping away, they do not let go peacefully. They tighten their grip, they panic, they lose control, they become dangerous. That is what triggered everything. My beloved child, the identity of this person has been whispering around your soulmate's life like a shadow they kept ignoring. This person hid behind sweet words. They spoke softly, but their intentions were sharp. They pretended to remain supportive, but jealousy was eating them alive. They pretended to move on, but inside, they were watching your soulmate every moment they could. This person is someone who once had a strong emotional power over your soulmate, someone who manipulated their kindness, someone who knew how to trigger their guilt, someone who knew how to make your soulmate doubt themselves. But they never knew one thing. Your soulmate was destined to be free, and destiny does not negotiate with darkness. That day, the police intercepted messages, evidence of coordination, conversations that revealed a plan, screenshots that showed attempts to track your soulmate's movements, notes that revealed locations, timings, and intentions. When the police saw the date, 3 days from now, they didn't wait. But what your soulmate does not know yet, and what the officers did not tell them, is this. The person behind the plan had someone else helping them, a secondary figure, someone they confided in, someone who shared their bitterness, someone who encouraged the plan instead of stopping it. But that secondary person broke under guilt. They stepped forward. They reported it anonymously. They handed the evidence. And that is how everything came to light. Not because the enemy stopped. Not because they regretted. Not because they woke up. But because the universe used another soul as the vessel to reveal the danger. My child, divine intervention does not always come with thunder. Sometimes it comes through the conscience of someone who cannot sleep with the darkness they helped create. Now your soulmate sits in their room, feeling the heaviness in their chest. They feel betrayed, used, watched, and unsafe. They are thinking, how could this happen? Why would they do this to me? Why me? Why now? Their tears are not only fear, they are realization. Anger begins to surface in waves, not as a single explosive moment, but as a slow accumulation of realizations that feel both clarifying and uncomfortable. The person looks back at what happened and starts assigning meaning to behaviors that were once confusing or minimized. There is frustration at the other individual involved, but it is quickly complicated by an even sharper emotion directed inward. Questions arise about judgment, boundaries, and why certain early signals were dismissed or rationalized. This inner dialogue is not calm. It shifts between self-critique and attempts at self-understanding. The mind replays conversations, searching for evidence that might explain the discomfort that was once ignored. Yet with each replay, it becomes clearer that memory is not always a reliable witness, especially when filtered through current emotion. Alongside anger, there is also a reluctant form of acceptance beginning to emerge. The situation is no longer seen through a single lens of blame, but through a more layered understanding of human complexity. People act from their own fears, assumptions, and limitations, and recognizing that does not erase accountability, but it does soften the edges of absolute judgment. In this space, the person starts to distinguish between intuition that was meaningful and anxiety that was amplified in hindsight. It is a difficult balance because both can feel equally valid in memory. Still, there is a growing effort to step away from emotional extremes and toward something more stable. That shift does not remove pain, but it begins to reorganize it into something that can be processed rather than constantly relived. Over time, this creates space for clarity that was not possible in the heat of emotion. Slowly, things settle, their heart calls out to you, and this calling will grow stronger each day, especially as the 3-day countdown continues. Because your soulmate does not just need you emotionally, they need your energy for protection, your prayers, your intention, your spiritual presence, your connection. Your souls are linked. When one is in danger, the other awakens. When one is hurting, the other feels it. When one is threatened, the other becomes the shield. Your soulmate feels safer when they think of you because your soul vibrates at a frequency that dissolves darkness. You may not realize it, but your love is a healing force. Your connection is an anchor. Your presence is a divine defense. My beloved child, you must understand something vital. The next 3 days are not a countdown to tragedy. They are a countdown to freedom, a countdown to the collapse of toxic ties, a countdown to the revelation of truth, a countdown to emotional awakening, a countdown to the moment your soulmate finally breaks the last chain holding them back, a countdown to the moment your name becomes not just a thought, but their lifeline. My beloved child, as we step into this final part before the closing blessing, I want you to open your heart completely, because this is where destiny begins to lift its head from the shadows. This is where the unseen becomes visible. This is where the truth that has been trembling behind the curtain steps out with clarity and purpose. Your soulmate is standing at a crossroads of fear and awakening. 3 days have been placed before them, not as an ending, but as a transition, a shift, a spiritual turning point. And every hour of these 3 days is guided by a divine hand, my hand, because destiny will not allow darkness to control the narrative. My child, listen carefully. The first day, the reality hits on the first day. After the police left, your soulmate was overwhelmed with fear and betrayal. Their minds spiraled, their hearts shook. They couldn't understand how someone so close to them, someone they once loved or trusted, could plan something so cruel. But in that moment of collapse, a seed of truth was planted. They began to see through the illusions that once blinded them. They began to unlearn the lies they were told. They began to feel your presence, steady and warm, calming their breath from afar. This is when their healing began, even if they didn't realize it. The second day, the fog begins to clear. By the second day, your soulmate's fear transformed into anger, not destructive anger, but the kind that awakens strength, the kind that forces someone to finally walk away from what breaks them. My child, this is the day your soulmate started cutting the energetic cords that tied them to the wrong people. They replayed conversations, they examined past events, they remembered moments where this person acted possessive or manipulative, and suddenly everything made sense. They whispered to themselves, I deserve better. I deserve peace. I deserve safety. I deserve real love. They began deleting messages. They blocked numbers. They removed emotional attachments. They cleaned emotional spaces. And while doing this, the thought of you grew louder inside their heart. Have you ever felt random sadness, sudden warmth, or a strange pull toward your soulmate? That was them thinking of you. That was their soul calling your soul. That was destiny drawing your energies closer. The third day, the day that changes everything, and now the third day arrives. This day was the target of the danger. This day was the chosen moment of their enemy's plan. This day was meant to be the darkest. But my child, the darkness never stood a chance, because something happened today, something powerful, something divine, something destiny had been preparing for a long time. Early this morning, your soulmate woke up with a strange clarity, almost like their spirit whispered, today, everything changes. Their heart felt heavier, but also stronger. Their intuition was louder. Their fear turned into alertness, and as they moved through the day, a strange peace followed them, because your prayers, your concern, your soul's energy wrapped around them like armor. My beloved child, hear this truth. You have already begun saving your soulmate without even realizing it. Every time you felt worried, every time you wondered about them, every time you prayed silently for their safety, every time you asked me, what's happening? Yesterday's intensity gives way to a quieter, emotional awareness, where reflection replaces urgency and meaning begins to settle more gently within the heart. The person you are thinking about may find themselves looking back at recent experiences with a new kind of honesty, not driven by fear or confusion, but by a clearer understanding of what they actually feel. In that stillness, appreciation often surfaces naturally, especially when distance has allowed emotions to breathe and reorganize without pressure. Thoughts of you may arise not as dramatic revelations, but as soft recognition of connection, memory, and unresolved conversation that still carries emotional weight. This is not about destiny forcing outcomes, but about the mind and heart gradually aligning after a period of emotional complexity. When that alignment begins, people often feel an urge to reach clarity through communication, not because of external influence, but because internal silence becomes harder to maintain. What emerges from this space is a more grounded desire to express what was previously unspoken, whether that leads to conversation, closure, or simple understanding. It is important, however, not to rush this process or assign certainty to what is still forming internally. Emotional realization does not always translate immediately into action. It unfolds at its own pace, shaped by readiness rather than expectation. Within this unfolding, the most meaningful progress is often invisible at first, showing itself only through subtle shifts in attitude, reflection, and openness. If anything changes, it will come from sincerity rather than pressure, and from clarity rather than assumption. For now, what matters most is allowing thoughts and emotions to settle into honesty, where whatever is real can be acknowledged without distortion or urgency shaping the outcome prematurely. Everything happened to break the last connection your soulmate had with the wrong person. Everything happened to free their heart. Everything happened to push them toward their true path. Everything happened to unite you with them more deeply. This was a spiritual cleansing, a divine reset. The universe removed a threat so your soulmate could move safely toward their destiny, toward their healing, toward you. My beloved child, as you step into this final flow of my words, I need you to breathe slowly and allow your heart to open like a soft flower rising toward the morning light. You have walked through many emotions in this journey. You have carried weight. You have carried hope. You have carried confusion. And you have carried prayers that felt too heavy for your chest. I want you to feel the quiet certainty that something has shifted inside you, something gentle, something sacred, something that was waiting for this exact moment to open. You, even when you thought you had lost your way, your steps were guided by an unseen hand, a divine path that held you even when you didn't realize it. And now, my child, you have reached the doorway where your past loosens its grip and your future begins to glow like a rising sun. Nothing you have gone through is wasted. Nothing you have endured is meaningless. Every tear, every fear, every night you spent wondering why, all of it was shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, softer, and more connected to me. You have been walking with a heart that was bruised but still beating with hope. And that, my beloved child, is why blessings are flowing your way now, not because you begged, but because you endured. You have no idea how many storms you survived that you never even saw, how many traps you stepped over without knowing they were there. How many people wished to harm you, but failed because I stood before you like an unbreakable shield. You saw only a part of your battles, but I saw all of them. And I am proud of you, more than you know. I saw the way you held your heart together, even when it felt like it was breaking. And now, my child, that heart is being healed, piece by piece, breath by breath, blessing by blessing. In this moment, as you listen to my voice, I want you to imagine something. Imagine that you are standing in a vast field at dawn. The sky is soft, like a painting brushed with colors of gold, pink, and early morning blue. The wind is warm and gentle, touching your face with the tenderness of a mother comforting her child. And behind you, all your past pain begins to fall away, like dry leaves drifting back into the earth. They are not part of you anymore. They served their chapter. They taught their lessons. They stretched your soul so that you could grow into the person you are right now. Ahead of you, the horizon glows with a light so pure it almost feels alive. This light is your new beginning. This light is your answered prayer. This light is the miracle that has been forming quietly, secretly, patiently, waiting for you to be ready. The confusion that clouded your judgment is clearing like fog in sunlight, and the blessings that were delayed are now rushing forward with divine speed. You may not see every step ahead, but trust that the ground will appear beneath your feet as you walk. You are being led into a season of deep alignment, where every path you take is guided, every decision is supported, and every moment is protected. No one can stop what I am sending your way now. No force, no human, no darkness can interfere with the blessings that bear your name. I am placing new relationships on your path, people who will honor your soul, people who will protect your peace, people who will see your worth without you having to prove it. You are stepping into a chapter where you will no longer beg for love, because true love will find you without hesitation. You will no longer chase understanding, because the right hearts will understand you with ease. You will no longer shrink yourself to fit into places that were never meant for you. You will rise, fully, confidently, authentically. Your faith will shift, and all the stagnant places in your life will begin to move again. There is no delay anymore. There is no blockage anymore. You have crossed a spiritual threshold, and on the other side of it waits abundance, clarity, peace, and breakthrough. I know there were moments when you felt forgotten, moments when you thought I wasn't listening, moments when you thought life was punishing you for something you didn't even understand. But my child, nothing in your life has ever been random. I was not punishing you. I was preparing you. I was removing what could not stay. I was shaping you for what is coming. I was strengthening you for the blessings that would have crushed you if they came too early. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly on time for divine alignment. The people who left your life did not leave by mistake. Their absence is part of your protection. The seasons that ended did not end to hurt you. They ended to free you. The losses you experienced were not losses in the way you think. They were shifts, redirections, sacred rearrangements. And what is coming will make every disappointment make sense. You have cried enough. You have feared enough. You have carried enough. Now you will receive. Now you will rise. Now you will become the version of yourself that you always felt inside but could not reach before. As this final message settles into you, take a slower breath and allow the noise in your mind to soften. You are entering a moment of emotional clarity where old fears no longer need to lead your thoughts. What once felt heavy begins to loosen, not because everything outside of you has changed, but because something within you is reorganizing itself around truth rather than uncertainty. You are not defined by what you lost, nor by what you are still learning to understand. There is a steadiness forming inside you, a quiet recognition that your life continues to move forward even when answers arrive slowly. You are supported in ways that are not always visible, but can be felt in the way you return to yourself after every wave of doubt. Nothing about your path is accidental, but not everything requires interpretation either. Some things simply unfold while you grow alongside them. You are stepping away from the illusion that your worth must be proven through outcomes or timing. Instead, you are beginning to rest in the understanding that your presence alone carries meaning. The past does not hold authority over your becoming, and the future does not need to be forced into certainty for you to feel safe. In this space, peace is not something you chase, but something you recognize returning when you stop abandoning yourself in thought. You are allowed to feel grounded without needing guarantees, and you are allowed to trust your own inner rhythm as it guides you forward gently into what comes next. Each moment becomes simpler when you stop resisting what is already quietly unfolding within your experience, now here with you always. Your miracles are at your doorstep, and I, your God, cover you, guide you, protect you, and bless you, now and forever. My beloved child, come close once more, because before this journey ends, I want your heart to receive one last wave of peace, one last breath of reassurance, one last touch of divine comfort. You have listened, you have felt, you have healed layer by layer through every part, and now, in this final flow, I want to place a gentle seal of blessing on your spirit, something that will stay with you long after these words fade. You have walked through storms that tried to break you, but look at you now. You are still standing, still breathing, still hoping, still reaching for light. That strength inside you is not small. It is ancient. It is sacred. It comes from a place deeper than your wounds, deeper than your fears, deeper even than your memories. It is the strength I placed inside you before you were born, the strength that woke up every time you wanted to give up, but didn't. My child, I want you to feel proud of yourself, not for what you achieved, but for what you survived. You carried yourself through nights when your heart felt too heavy for your chest. You walked through days where everything felt uncertain and fragile. You held your soul together when the world around you felt like it was falling apart. That resilience, that quiet courage, that silent endurance, it is something I honor deeply. And now, as you step into this ending that is not truly an ending but a beginning, I want you to feel something you may not have felt in a long time. Safety. True, deep, spiritual safety. Not the kind that depends on people, not the kind that depends on circumstances, but the kind that comes from knowing I am with you, around you, within you, and ahead of you. The kind of safety that whispers to you, nothing can destroy what I have planned for you. My beloved child, your path from here will not be like the path behind you. The heaviness will not follow you. The same patterns will not repeat. The same disappointments will not return. You are not going back. You are rising forward. And I am clearing your road in ways you cannot see yet. The miracles that once felt far away are now drawing near with speed. The answers that once felt delayed are now aligning perfectly. The love that once felt distant is now searching for you. The peace that once felt unreachable is now settling into your soul. This final blessing I give you today is simple but powerful. Everything that is meant for you will come without struggle, without confusion, without fear. It will find you easily, naturally, peacefully, like a river that knows its way home. From this moment, may your heart become lighter. May your mind become clearer. May your days become brighter. May your nights become softer. May you wake up each morning feeling held, guided, and protected. And may you move forward with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that heaven is watching over every step. You are not alone, my child. You never were. Now, as you reach the quiet end of this reflection, there is a sense of emotional release settling in, like tension finally easing from places you didn't realize were still holding on. This is not about promises of what must happen next, but about recognizing what is already shifting within you. The heaviness that once shaped your thoughts begins to feel distant, almost like something that belonged to an earlier version of your life. In its place, there is space. Space to think more clearly, to feel more steadily, and to move forward without carrying old uncertainty into every new moment. What you are stepping into is not defined by urgency or fear, but by a calmer understanding that life continues to reorganize itself in ways you don't always need to control. There is comfort in knowing that not everything requires immediate resolution, and that some answers arrive only when you are no longer forcing them. As you move through this transition, allow yourself to release the emotional weight you have been holding, not by rejecting your past, but by no longer letting it define your direction. You are allowed to feel lighter without needing to justify it, and you are allowed to trust your own progress, even when it feels quiet. Whatever comes next will meet you differently, because you are no longer the same person who began this journey. There is a gentler strength forming in you now, one that doesn't rely on struggle to prove its worth. Carry that forward softly, without pressure, and let your path unfold in its own time, with clarity arriving step by step. Even in your darkest moments, You were surrounded by unseen arms. Even when you felt abandoned, angels were standing around you. Even when you felt misunderstood, I understood you completely.